Okay.
You can go ahead with the introduction.
No, I have done that part of the introduction of the group. I've made the introduction of the speaker, so we can start.
I sent it to you.
Oh. Okay. No, did not get it. Is it email? Let me see.
Okay, I'll do the introduction now.
Okay, thank you.
I'm really sorry, everyone. It's been a bit of a challenge today, but we'll get there. Are you able to help me spotlight our speaker?
Sure, we'll do.
Thank you. Okay, can you see me all right?
Okay.
Sounds like everybody's muted.
Sorry, I was muted on purpose. Sorry about that. Okay, sorry about the delay. I'll go right into it now. Oh, sorry. Yes, Miss Jumoke Akin-Taylor is a project manager with over 37 years of experience in construction on various public and private projects. She's an engineer. She holds a bachelor's degree in civil and construction engineering technology from the University of the District of Columbia and a master's degree in construction management from Cal State East Bay. She's also a certified project management professional, a certified construction manager, and Design Build Institute of America professional. What's more, she's passionate about making a positive impact. She's the second vice president and chief operating officer of the Africa Leadership Group, an organization focused on promoting good governance and accountability in Africa. She's also the executive director of Rebuild Nigeria Initiative, which aims to promote peace and reconciliation in Nigeria. She is a member of the Link family, and she is a gracefully aging grandmother. Almost grandmother. Yes. Over to you, Adejumoke.
Thank you so much. I am a proud grandmother of so many grandchildren that I haven't vetted directly, but thank you. Thank you for that introduction. We probably need to find a shorter one. Always good to be here. Thank you to the Link family. Thank you to Praising Child for all you do. And I think my most greatest achievement is that I'm a Christian, and I'm also a Christian writer. For me, that is my true identity. So thank God for the opportunity to be here with you. So do I start speaking now, or do I just go into why we're here? What's next?
Yeah, yes. Okay, so today's topic is caring for the elderly. And Adejumoke's perspective, she's speaking from lived experience of caring for someone who is elderly. So over to you, Ma.
Thank you. So let me first acknowledge all those that their parents.
Yeah, muted again, Ma.
So I just want to acknowledge those that their biological parents are no longer here with them. But you are in the greatest hands, God's hands. And to those that have the opportunity to still be with our parents, it's grace. Thank God for that. So my mom is 86, and she spent number of years living with us, me and the kids. She started off helping me when I was raising kids, probably about 30 something years ago. And as she got older, she would come stay with us and then go back. But after retirement, and I think she started getting weaker, maybe in her late 70s. And so it became more of a stable environment for her. And for those of us from Nigeria or Africa, all of us, most of us are out of the country. My mom has 3 kids. We are all outside Nigeria. So did it make sense for her to stay in Nigeria by herself? No. So being the eldest child, automatically the default came to me, and she started living with me. And I'm going to be very real. It's not, so as my mom started getting older and weaker, it was really very difficult for me to reconcile that strong woman she was to this woman that needs me. I couldn't, it was a big struggle for me. And I remember I had to go to God in prayer, because everything I was just like, why is she looking for attention? She can do all this by herself. When she's like, so I was like, Mommy, you hear, you are the one, you speak. I would get so frustrated that, of course you hear, you speak English, you were a teacher. Why do I have to be here? And, that frustration of, why are you needing me? You are a strong woman, you don't need me. And I remember going to God and really saying, Father, please help me. I don't want to sin against you. This is really difficult. So help me, give me that grace to understand and do this. It was so, and from there, it was always like, be patient. You're patient with everybody else outside. Not with your mother. I used to kind of help. We're part of the widows group in my church, and they were all mostly elderly. So I used to gather them, and the love and attention that I gave to them was different from the one I was giving to my mother. And so God just reminded me that you care and love these people. Why can't you do the same with this woman that bettered you? But it came to that expectation. My mother is a strong woman. She doesn't need me. She's the one that has always taken care of everything. Why do I not have to take care of her? She is the strong one. That was a struggle. But thank God for grace, and thank God for patience. And I thank God for my mother, who was also very patient. She kind of understood, but she was also sad, because it was like, I have to now depend on you. She had her own money, but it wasn't even financial dependency, but that caring was the thing. And so it took a while for us to get into that. Let's talk as friends. Let's talk. Let's understand where you're coming from. Even for her too, even I'm now 62, she couldn't even reconcile that I'm a grown woman with adult children. She still say, Ibolowa, when I'm coming, you're not home yet. Where are you? And I'll say, hey, Mommy, it's an adult you are talking to. It's not a child. Hey, I'm still your mother. I can ask you where you are. I was like, ask me with dignity and respect. So we'll turn it into a joke. What could have become a fight now became something that God just gave me the grace to now turn it into a joke, right? Because before it's like, why would you be asking me where I am? But when I turned it to like, hey, she is because I'm not bringing boyfriend to the house. That's why you can ask me where I am. I will show you. So we now started finding common grounds to laugh about difficult things, or even advice, because parents, it took me a long time to understand that parents can never stop being parents, no matter how old you are. They still remember you as a child. Just as I still remembered my mom as that strong old woman, that strong woman that could do everything, she could not also stop being a protective mother to that tiny baby that she first gave birth to, that was her first child. So we would have those conversations and, be honest with each other. So when I said you would talk to me with dignity and respect, even though it was with a joke. So when she wants to talk to me, she'll say, okay, sorry, I want to talk to you. I'll say, with dignity and respect, and she'll say, and when she's quiet, I say, what is the serious matter now? And so we found that we started finding the common ground. It was not easy. I will not lie to you. It was not easy. But the health challenge also is something else. Doctor's appointments, being an advocate for them. I think as my mom, this is my own lived experience, as she started getting older, she became more finicky. She became more scared of facing her own mortality. That's the reality of things. And she would say, yeah, I lost hospital. I said, but she you say you are not afraid to die. So why do you want to go to the hospital now? But when we go to the hospital, I would have her explain what her issue is to the doctors, and I would be there. I wouldn't be speaking for her because she's the one that can explain what she's going through. And where I needed to come in and support, I would now clarify what she needed. But I also saw that there was a lot of embellishment, and those embellishments was for attention as well. And I did not first see that. I would like, but can you tell her now? She said, but she means it's doing it. You didn't have this issue before. Why is it now? She said, well, it is now. But so the doctor now called me one day outside, and this is what changed everything. And she goes, your mom is aging, and she's 84. Then she was 84 going, she was 84 going on 85. My mom is 86 now. And she said she has vascular dementia, and that is common. So a lot of the things that she does is not intentional. So I need you to pay attention and be less argumentative. That broke me. It really broke me. It broke me, but it changed. It changed me as well. It changed the way I respond to her. My younger sister in England was always, sister, she doesn't mean it. I said, you're always defending her. She always understood. And I felt because she didn't live with her, it was easy for her to understand. So having the siblings also join together for care is very important. Having, a committee where you all discuss those issues helped us a lot, because my sister is much calmer than I am. She was like, sister, it's not like that. Yeah, you're always advocating. She would say, but by the time she finished explaining and giving that perspective, it makes a difference. So I called all my mom's siblings and I told them, there are 8 of them. I called everyone, well, the ones she's very close to, her sisters, I called them. I said, this is the situation. They interact. We are going to do this together. How we are going to manage this. So there are some things she would say, don't get upset, just share. So transparency was something else that helped us. Did she want to be transparent? Probably not, because her pride is still there. But we did now go and tell her that we have all had a committee and discussion. This is how we are going to be behaving towards you. But we are a very close-knit family. But having that conversation with everybody, the immediate ones, we didn't take it far to the cousins or everybody else, but just those that she interacts with on a daily basis. And that helped us. And we started to manage the care. But when we also found out, because she was here in the US, she went to an adult center, senior citizen center with activities and everything. but she was now at home by herself because we had to go to work. Was that healthy for her? We live in California, everywhere is far. So what was the best thing for her? Yeah, she can go to the senior center, but there was a day she entered a stranger's car.
Okay.
There was a day the
Let's
door
take
was
it
open. We
off.
had to call the police. There were all
Because
kinds of
the
things.
queen
So
of
we had to make a decision that, okay, where is she safest and what is best for her at this age? God forbid if she's at home and she falls, how will we get to her? So we made the decision and we took her to Nigeria, and I stayed there for a few months to, really settle her in. Then my sister went. So now I'm actually going back because of her. And then I thought to myself, she's 86. If God gives her many more years, and it has to be her years has to be in peace and in joy, because this is someone that has given us everything. And how much of my life am I going to now give to her? Maybe the next 5 years, 6 years, if Jesus tarry. And so we made that decision that we will rotate. Going back, she's at home where she has a lot of care. But that daily interaction is very important. I call her every day. My sister calls her every day, just to make sure that it's not to make sure she's okay, but for her to know that we haven't abandoned her, and that we would always be there for her. But there's also a responsibility to be disciplined, because they can be like babies. When she got to Nigeria, she was always like, Gbeminiyi hospital. And I was like, Mommy, you cannot be going to the hospital. There is nothing wrong with you. You are not in America where we just go to the hospital. You cannot. So we had to also be firm with her and those around her that these are some of the things you cannot do. So I'll stop here because I just wanted to give an overview as much as I could, so that just lay the context and then be able to answer questions that may arise. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That has been really informative and helpful to a lot of people. And thank you for sharing your personal story with us, and also for acknowledging those whose parents have gone to the great beyond. Thank you for that. So I'll be welcoming our next speaker. He's Mr. James Toba Ojo. Rasukomi, do you mind spotlighting him, please? Thank you. Are you able to clean your video a little bit? Hi, Toba. It's not very clear. It just seems a little bit blurred.
Okay.
Just where your video is. Yeah, it just seems just a little blurred. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. And may I mention that all our speakers on the series have graciously agreed to do this without charge. So we're really grateful to all of them. And I'd like you to show all of them some love. I hope you know how to show love with the emojis on Zoom. Otherwise, we have to teach ourselves. Yes, thank you, Brasukomi. Yes. So Mr. James Toba Ojo is a dedicated mental health support worker with the National Health Service, with over 4 years of experience providing compassionate care and support to individuals with mental health needs and general healthcare practice. He's passionate about making a positive difference in people's lives. He has built strong experiences in person-centered care, emotional support, and promoting well-being within diverse care settings. Alongside his healthcare career, he is also actively involved in the entertainment and events industry. He has his own studio, plays the guitar, quite multi-talented gentleman, where he brings energy, creativity, and strong people skills to every platform he serves on. His unique blend of care experience and entertainment presence allows him to connect easily with people from all walks of life. Join me in welcoming Mr. Toba Ojo. Thank you so much for joining us. So he'll be speaking to us from the perspective of a care practitioner. So over to you. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Good evening.
And thanks for having me. Thank you, Praising Child, for inviting me this evening. I'm super grateful, and this is such a great privilege for me to share a bit of my experience. And just similar to what the previous auntie was sharing, I also started caring for my late father in 2003 when he had stroke. Being the last born of the family as at the time, I was barely maybe 20 years as at the time. I just found myself taking care of him because all my siblings were not at home as at the time. So I had to, take up the responsibility, and then it was a good one for me because it formed the basis of whatever it is that I'm doing at the moment. So it was such a great privilege. And I'll just give a brief history of how it happened. He was 55 years old as at the time, and he had stroke. And then, it was such a he had stroke, like he was in coma for like over a month, going to two. So that really, really affected him. His BP was about 270 over 220 as at the time. Nobody knew he could survive. So by the time he was coming back, already, part of his body was paralyzed. And then he was a rude shock because I needed to move him around. Person-centered care, wash him, clean him up, and take him to hospital for visits and all of those things, which was quite much for me as at the time. But I'm grateful to God because that really helped me. So this evening, I'm just going to be speaking briefly, and I'll be using the acronym for CARE, because it is quite important that there are no two ways to it. There are certain things that should form the foundation of how you take care of the elderly. And then, so I'm just going to be using the acronym CARE, and C stands for being compassionate. There is no way you are going to be taking care of anyone if you are not compassionate. I've seen people that are in the care industry that are not really compassionate. They are there for the money. But trust me, it will not fly. You are not going to be able to take care of anybody that is elderly if you are not compassionate. Like the previous auntie was saying, truth is, you will be pissed off several times. I remember my late fathers at the time will say stuffs that will even beat you at some point because sometimes he will be very agitated, and then he will want to just throw tantrums, and then you feel like, look, I'm just here to take care of you, so why are you hurting me? I know several marks on my body. Sometimes it will pinch, sometimes it will slap, and then you are wondering, if only you know what it is that I'm doing for you, you will not be, violent against me. And then, that really helped me now, because now when I not do it as job, I just look at it from the perspective of, oh, I just need to be compassionate. I need to look after whoever it is that I need to look after, because it's from that bowel of mercy. Even Jesus Christ, if you look at him, Bible will record that, he saw a woman, and then he was compassionate, and then he healed the son, or raised the son from dead. So there is no miracle, there's nothing you can do if you are not compassionate, if you are not really, really moved to do it, So being compassionate is very, very key. And then two is alertness. You need to be alert, because if you are not alert, you are not able to pick stuffs. Sometimes things will happen, and it may require that you act so fast But if the alertness is not there, you won't be able to act as required. Sometimes if you are very laid back and lackadaisical, things will go the wrong way. And this part of the world that we find ourselves, you will pay for it. They will ask you questions, probably there are cameras, and they will say, oh, when this happened, what were you looking at? Why were you not, taking cognizance of the things that you're supposed to take, as at the time. So alertness is very, very key in this kind of situation if you're taking care of people, and then you have to be attentive. Sometimes they want to speak to you. Sometimes all they want to do is just to speak. And then all you need to do is just to listen. You are not supposed to provide any solution. You are not supposed to say anything. Just stay there and listen, most especially for people that are in mental health. Sometimes somebody just wants to rant, and then you're wondering, why is he angry? And then as at the time, you are not meant to be saying, no, you're not supposed to be angry. This is what you're supposed to do. You are just supposed to be there listening to them. And that applies to we still have aged parents. Sometimes you just have to listen to them, because sometimes when they grow up, to that age, they become babies. So same way when your, 2-year-old still say stuff and you indulge them, that's still the same way we are supposed to treat our parents and our elderly ones. And then the third one, I don't want to waste too much time. The third one is respect. Trust me, you can't care for anybody that you don't respect. Is one of the key factors, that is required. You have to treat everybody with dignity and respect, and how do we respect people? Know their boundaries, know what it is that they're supposed to have, don't deny them of their rights, So very, very important. The person you don't respect, you are not able to honor. And so when you see people that they don't honor their parents, is lack of respect. Sometimes all you need to do is just to say, oh, okay, sir, even though you know that the advice they're bringing us at the time is not going to work, you still have to, listen to them, respect them, respect their boundaries, do all and then you have to be responsible. Don't, you can't say, oh, I've got so many other siblings, they will look after them. That happens a lot when you have maybe other siblings, and then maybe it's the big sister that is taking care of them. Oh, I don't mind. Okay, my mom is in Nigeria at the moment, and I'm not in Nigeria. And then I'll just say, sometimes when they call me, they'll say, mom is sick. Mom, I just think, oh, I have some other siblings in Nigeria that will look after them. But that's not supposed to be so. We all need to, have that in mind that, oh, I have my parents, wherever they are, even though they are in good hands, my siblings are looking after them. I also have to contribute my own quota. What is it that I'm supposed to be doing? If you're not there physically, are you giving emotional support when you're supposed to? Are you sending money when you're supposed to send money? And then are you asking questions and all of those things? You are supposed to show some level of responsibility, even though parents are not staying with you as at the time. And the last point I'm going to be sharing tonight, I don't know how many more minutes I've got, but the last point right now is empathy. Everybody needs to be able to empathize, because without empathy, it's still similar to being compassionate, feeling their pain, because so many things has happened to me in time past. But I know one of the things that God has really helped me to is to be able to feel people's pain. Um, you don't know what it looks like for someone to lose a spouse until when maybe it happens to you. I've seen people talk about just have to, don't worry, don't think about it, just They just say it because they don't know what it is that that person has actually gone through. But if you have been through it, you will be able to say, no, it's not that easy. And then you will be able to encourage people that are going through it. Maybe you've waited for the fruit of the womb for a period of, you won't just speak to people and say, yeah, it's one of those things. So put yourself in their situation when you have elderly people that are saying, I'm not feeling too well, I'm feeling a pain. Because you haven't felt the pain of arthritis before, doesn't mean that it does not exist. It actually does. They are feeling that their bones are aching and then they are not feeling comfortable. So put yourself in their shoe, show some form of empathy. Tell them that I know how exactly you're feeling at the moment. I really want to help you. How can I support you? What can I do for you? Do I have to pray for you? How do just pray, just do something to show some level of empathy. Because without empathy, you can't show care. So I'll just briefly, kind of like recap. You have to show care. You have to be alert and attentive. You have to show some level of respect, and then you have to empathize for it to be a good care. I don't know how many more minutes I've got, President Child, but I don't know if I've done justice to
I
this.
think you have done absolutely well. If you need 2 more minutes, or are you fine?
Oh, okay. So I will still go back to empathy. I'll use the illustration of Jesus and two illustrations actually. When Lazarus died, Jesus went there and then he empathized with the family. It was actually recorded that Jesus wept. Let's not treat people like what they are going through is insignificant. Let's not do it because you have to be able to show that you can feel their pain. When people actually says, I'm down, recognize that it's possible for people to have those down moments and encourage them. Let's not feel that, we are up there, we can't feel their pain. And I'm also going to speak about, Luke 10. We all remember the story of the man that was going to Jericho and how he was being stopped and being robbed. And guess what? When the priest passed, he didn't show concern. The Levite came, did not show concern. But guess what? It was just a Samaritan, who like people that we would call like an unbeliever this time around that just came and show all these things that we said. In fact, I really wish I can read the scripture so that we will see the words that, the verse 30 said, and a certain man went down from Jericho and fell among thieves, which stripped him of his raiment. I'll fast forward. And then he said, and by chance there came down a certain priest the way. When he saw him, he passed by on the other side. And likewise, a Levite, when he saw at the place, came and looked on him and passed by on the other side. But a certain Samaritan, as the John came where he was, and when he saw him, he had compassion. You remember what I said? For you to be able to care, you need compassion. So that was the first thing. Person that you are not compassionate about, you are probably not going to care for them. And then verse 34 said, and went to him and bound up his wounds, pouring in oil and wine, and sat him on his own beast. That is, being alert to their needs, being able to, being attentive to whatever care they need, and then brought him into an inn and took care of him. That's the summary. Took care of him. He showed care, he's been attentive and alert, he showed respect, and he showed empathy. And then he said, on the morrow when he departed, that means he actually slept in that same place the whole night, ensuring that the guy was, okay before he left on his journey the following day. So he took out parents gave out money. So I spoke about it. You don't have to be physically present. If you are not physically present, your money can do the job. I think I've exhausted my time, but I really wish I can go on and on. But thank you for this privilege, praising child. Yeah.
Thank you so much. It's lovely to hear you speak about this, and thank you for sharing your own experience. Okay. My apologies. Please, everybody, try and mute yourself if you're not speaking. Okay, so thank you so much for that. Thank you for sharing your story with us. And speaker for tonight, and she is Mrs. Gbeminiyi Laolu-Adewale, is a gerontologist. I'm sure she'll be telling us what that means. A seasoned entrepreneur, a multidisciplined business executive, and founder of Full Circle Geriatric Care Services, a foremost elderly care and wellness outfit in Nigeria. Her professional career, which spans over 2 decades, began in Deloitte, where she trained as an internal auditor and risk management consultant. She had a stint in investment banking, but spent the longest stretch of her career in the fast-moving consumer goods sector, where she served in various leadership positions in Procter & Gamble and Diageo, Guinness, Nigeria. After a well-spent career in corporate Nigeria, she transitioned into healthcare to fulfill a long-term passion and contribute to closing the gaps in the Nigerian geriatric care ecosystem. Her well-rounded experience in the corporate world, coupled with her unique blend of business acumen and passion, and her assertive personality, makes her an exceptional leader in her chosen field. Mrs. Gbeminiyi is a devoted wife, mother, a naturalist, and an adventurer who enjoys traveling, exploring new cultures, reading, and writing. Join me to welcome Mrs. Gbeminiyi. Lovely to meet you. And big thank you to my sister, Barrister Gbemi Adenuga, for making the connection. Thank you for joining us. And she will be speaking from her experience in the geriatric care system. Over to you.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Good evening from Lagos, Nigeria, and I'm happy to be here. So thank you, Dr. Temitope, for this invitation. So elderly care, I think there's actually no better time to have this conversation because Monday, the 15th of June, is actually the day the United Nations has set apart to create awareness and talk about elderly abuse. So Monday, there's going to be a lot of those conversations around stopping, eradicating completely the very common but silently, or maybe not even recorded, instances of elderly abuse. It's quite prevalent in society, and the statistics are not really there to showcase how bad it is, but we know it exists. But let me just go back to elderly care as Africans. And I'm really grateful for the speakers who went before me, Mrs. Adejumoke, Akin-Taylor. Your experience is so real. I was just smiling when you were talking because it's so easy to relate with. And thank you for all that you've done for your mom. Same with Mr. Toba Ojo. It's just so amazing how personal experiences go a long way even in determining what we eventually spend our lives doing. My story is not very different from yours because for me, I had unconsciously been a caregiver to my grandmother, who was brought into our home when I was a teenager, and I had to care. I'm also a first child, so that burden of care fell on me. And at different points in my life, I've had to care for my mom, who we call the cat with 9 lives. She's had so many episodes, health episodes. And as a first child, I would always be the one to be there at the hospital, nurture her back to health. She's had neurosurgery at a point where she had to relearn how to walk, how to eat, how to be human again, basically. So those touch points, actually, I would say, pivoted my career to what I do today. Now, what does being a gerontologist mean? Really, a gerontologist is someone who studied aging and is able to administer care socially. So my work differs from that of a geriatrician, because a geriatrician is a clinical expert, a medical doctor who is skilled at caring for elderly people. But as a gerontologist, my expertise is in social aspects of care. Now, I run an organization that is focused on using wellness as a solution or as a means for solving the problems of loneliness and isolation in old age. And that ties back to our topic for today. How do we care for elderly people? You know, as the world is aging, we all are aging. Elderly ones who are above the age of 60 or 65, depending on if we're going with the World Health Organization numbers here. When people get to that age, whether 60 or 65, sometimes when it's not well planned or managed, it could be the beginning of the worst part of their lives. But where it's well planned, managed, and where they've got all the love and support, it could be the beginning of probably the best part of their lives. Yes, we do agree that biologically we slow down as we age. However, I'm of the school of thought that as we age, we do not need to retire. And I'll explain what I mean. Of course, if you work in an office, there's a certain age. If you're in the banking sector in Nigeria, by the time you're in your 50s, just start winding down, because by 55, you've got to get off the bus for the younger ones. In some other sectors, you could stay there as long as 65. In the academics, maybe you could even stay up to 70. But the truth is, the moment, I'll say a good percentage of people, when they retire, what it automatically means for them is starting to live a sedentary life. That in itself is like the foundation for ailments, problems, health challenges, and it's endless what could come out from living a sedentary life. And because we also have a concept called ageism. Now, ageism is those stereotypes that we naturally place on senior citizens. You would, if you ask any, maybe random people to describe grandmas or grandpas, some words that would come out would simply be boring, not fashionable. Grandma is stressful, you know, those kind of words. And indirectly, they're very subtle, but what it indirectly does for our senior citizens is to push them to a corner. It makes them so self-conscious, and they just decide to isolate. A good number of them will decide to isolate. Picture an elderly person who's noticed, oh, I'm starting to have challenges and I'm having urinary incontinence. What you find for many people with those kind of conditions, they completely cut themselves away from society. Why? Because of ageism. They feel judged. They feel like everyone is watching them. They feel like no one understands them. And they just decide, that party, I'm not going. Church, I'm going to slow down. I just don't want to go anywhere. I want to sit in my home. And sometimes you find people who just sit at home and wait for death to come. Meanwhile, the flip side is they could be living the best part of their lives on the other side of things. So what can we do really? How can we enable or enhance, would I say, best possible elderly care? There's what we can do as individuals, maybe young individuals, children, family members. There's what we, of course, expect government to do. And as a society, there's so much we can do. For those of us who've got elderly loved ones, it is so critical that we ensure that they keep up with a decent level of activity in old age. Flipping back on my own life, my grandma died at 90. One of the things that I got to realize when I became a gerontologist was the fact that my parents, my dad, who was her son, they came to a decision when she was in her 80s that she needed to stop. Sorry, okay, I was muted automatically. So my dad and his siblings came to a decision she needed to stop working. And now thinking back, that's probably what led to her having to pass on at 90, because in their family, there's quite a bit of longevity. Her younger ones are in their hundreds and they're still alive. So what could have happened? Instead of stopping her from working, could have been to reduce the workload. So if you're someone who trades in Lagos Island, for instance, it may be that you don't have to go to Lagos Island every day any longer. Maybe Mushin Market is closer to you. You can have a shop in Mushin Market and still keep your level of activity. Maybe reduce it from 100 to 60. And as you continue to age, you reduce it further to 40. But don't just stop. It is that stopping from activity to nothingness that actually complicates issues for a lot of senior citizens. So as children here, please, if you don't take anything away, so long as you have elderly loved ones, it's so important that they maintain a decent level of activity, daily activities that gets them to get up from their chairs, get up from their beds, move their legs, move their hands, move their feet. Think most especially. The last two speakers, I don't know if Mr. Ojo was making reference that his dad also had dementia, but I recall that Mrs. Akin-Taylor had mentioned that her mom has vascular dementia. As a gerontologist and someone who cares for senior citizens, I can tell you that the statistics for dementia is increasing rapidly in society today. It's not even just amongst elderly people. We're starting to see dementia diagnosis among people in their 50s. There are a few in their 40s who've been diagnosed with vascular dementia as well. Now, what's leading up to this? If we look at our world today, there's so much sedentary living. When we stay on our phones endlessly, we're in the world of AI now. As much as AI is so brilliant and amazing, we've got to be careful so that we don't totally stop using our brains. We still keep our brains active, because that's so important if we don't want to come down with dementia diagnosis. So that's very critical. As our elderly ones are aging, they need to stay engaged mentally, cognitively. At my organization, we run a day center for seniors. And one of the things we are very, very keen to do is to engage them mentally. We do activities like book readings where they come together, read a book, discuss the book. Sometimes we make sure the themes are in line with what's going on in society, so they're able to extract from their experiences, their lived experiences, share, and in the process of sharing, they're related to someone else's story. They leave that premise, that community, feeling like they have made good use of their brain for that day. In that kind of situation, someone who's getting that level of brain activity on a frequent level is less likely to be at risk of dementia. But someone who stays at home all day, all week, all month is at risk of, having dementia. Because when anything that is not put to use will start to fail. Muscles will start to lose their abilities also when they're not put to use. So that's what we can do. The other thing that is very critical as elderly ones age and where we can really help them and support them would be in areas of healthcare provision. And I am calling this out because in the society where we're at, where we live in today, I'm talking about Africa now because I live here in Nigeria. You see that healthcare provision is a big challenge for senior citizens. It's either many can't afford healthcare, or even when they can afford to see the doctor, they can't afford the treatments that they need. And in some cases, those who can even afford are overdosing on so many things, maybe overdosing on supplements. We're in the era where maybe out of 4 kids, 3 are abroad. The one in Canada is sending 5 supplements. The one in London is sending 10. At the end of the day, we're having cases, serious cases of polypharmacy. So it's important, and I'll take a cue from Mr. Ojo's alertness in the CARE acronym, A for alertness. We need to be very observant with our elderly loved ones. What medications are they taking? Who recommended or prescribed the medications? What is that medication solving for? In my experience, when I deploy geriatricians to go attend to seniors at home, the first point of call is always to review their medication. And I can tell you, 9 out of 10 instances, we have to cut down on medication. We find that they are over-medicated. Oh, my daughter said this is good for my eye. My son said this is good for my arthritis. And they're up taking 20 tablets a day that they don't need. So it's important that we pay attention to that. Let's support their health, whether it's health checks, when they go to hospital, let's get involved. It's not enough to have a driver take them to the hospital. We need to get involved. We don't need to speak for them, but we just need to be part of that process, form a community around it, and ensure that they are only getting the right level of medications that they need. That said, one more thing I'm going to talk about here, aside from health, would be independence. One critical thing that a lot of seniors deal with, which they may not talk about, is that fear of losing their independence. I think Mrs. Akin-Taylor kind of referenced it when she was talking. Especially for those who have lived wonderful, beautiful, successful lives. Maybe you rose up to become the managing director of your organization, and now in old age, you have to use a walking stick. That transition from someone who was healthy, agile, to someone who's dependent on a cane or has to lean onto a caregiver to make movement can be very, can be very demeaning for a lot of seniors. And that's why sometimes you see seniors who live in denial of their reality. They don't want to accept it, that I'm aging and I need support. Or those who are incontinent, that incontinence is really a big deal. The fact that it's been recommended to you to wear diapers, for some is, God forbid, over my dead body, I will never do this. But what we can do as children, loved ones, just great members of society, is to encourage them. So in my organization, we have quarterly series where we just demystify things. And once upon a time, we had a program we called Demystifying Incontinence. And we were able to explain to them, it's okay. As we age, there are certain things that will change. After all, when we were children, we wore diapers. And when we outgrew diapers, we started to wear other things. If we have to go back to wearing diapers, the truth is, no one is going to see you well-dressed outside and say you've got diapers on. So it's actually a personal thing. Nobody's going to see it. So it's really okay. It doesn't take out of who you are. It doesn't reduce you, but it actually enhances your life, because when you're wearing diapers, you don't stain yourself in public. When you have your diapers on, it gives you the confidence to actually attend that party and have a bottle of water. Some don't want to drink in public because of that. So we owe it as a duty of care. We owe it as just being patriotic members of society to help our elderly loved ones come to terms with the fact that they're aging. And as they're aging, organs may start to lose function. And if that happens, adaptation is so important. But how they transition into that adaptation is going to depend on the kind of support they've got, particularly home support that helps them ease into it, not feeling like they're going to be judged, not feeling like people are going to start talking about them or laughing at them. So we need to come together to actually support our elderly ones to live meaningful, purposeful lives in old age. And I will probably end my talk by saying activity, activity, activity. It's so important to eat well. It's important to sleep well. I haven't said all that, but it's more important to keep a decent level of activity level in old age. Old age is not the time to just sit down and be watching African magic from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. No, you're building a foundation for health challenges. But when you have something to do, something to look forward to, a community to belong to, somewhere to go, it challenges your mind. It helps your body. Your muscles are getting the right kind of activity level they need so they don't shut down. Even your legs for the arthritis, when you're able to make movement, it helps your overall well-being. And it ultimately improves the quality of life that the senior citizen or the elderly one would enjoy. So please, let's encourage, if there are elderly people on this call, I'm challenging you today, please increase your level of activity. Find yourself a day center to belong to. Go to church, go to mosque, go visit your friend. Don't isolate. Isolation does no one any good. You need to go out there, get your grandchildren around, volunteer for courses. You can even go to a school and say, yes, I'm a grandma. I want to teach these children how to bake once a week. Please, it will make you happy. It would drive longevity. And in driving longevity, it doesn't just increase your number of years, but it's going to increase your number of healthy years. Because, they say today, longevity, the numbers are up. We're seeing 73.5 years now is the new number in terms of longevity. But it's important that those 73.5 years are healthy. Because if 10 out of the 73.5 is spent bedridden, then really it's longevity an advantage. But when we have longer years that are healthy, that's the real deal. So I think I'll just close the case here and I'll wait for questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, our gerontologist. That's been a really insightful discussion. It's obvious that you are full of passion and you have so much more to say, but we don't have luxury of time anymore because we want to go right into the question time. So I'd like people to start raising up their hands if you have questions to ask. And I don't know whether Reverend Graceman is still in the house. Reverend Graceman, are you still here? Yes, he is. In 2 minutes, I just want you to talk about how it is caring for your 114-year-old granddad. Let's hear you. 2 minutes. Kindly unmute yourself. Reverend Graceman, let's hear you.
Good
And then
evening,
after that,
everybody. Good evening,
Sister
everybody.
C, 2 minutes.
Thank you, President Child, Dr. Topa. The Lord bless you. This is really, really, really amazing. I've been blessed listening to experts. I was really blessed by that brother about the acronym CARE. Very, very wonderful. And the lady that spoke just now, I was really blessed. And it's good to come from the place of experience. I came late for the first speaker, but the little I met, I really appreciate all of them. What they have shared with us have been very impactful, and it's amazing. Thank God that this is going to last for 12 weeks. I have a 114 grandfather at home back in the village. And I'm very far from him. And that so I have to balance Port Harcourt, and connecting and giving care to him back in the village, back in Ogun State. And so what I've done basically is that as the first son of my family, I've been able to mobilize a lot of my siblings to, surround him, and I follow up on their activities often. And I also call him, he still talks, and he's very sharp. He still remembers numbers. And I think that what we have done basically is to surround him with people. I don't want to talk about the side of sending the resources to take care of him, because that is normal. But what the emphasis on this platform is not about the money, it's about the compassion, about the alertiveness, that is attention and respect, and of course empathy, like the brother shared. And that quickly resonate with what we do. And so, and even though my mom who happens to be his daughter, is no longer alive, has gone to be with the Lord, but is still very much alive, seeing us around, and is encouraged to live longer. I think I called him about 2 days ago, and we're talking, and was saying that was praying for me and saying a lot of things that he wants to see my children. And inside of me, I just chuckled. But I'm trusting God. I love his faith. And want to say this that when you have aged ones, please take care of them because you are going to be jealous. In the end of the day, as you watch people take care of their aged ones while they are alive, and you don't have the opportunity, like I do not have the opportunity now to take care of my both parents. They have gone to be with the Lord. When you have those ones around, please take care of them. Spend the time and the resources that is needed for you to do your best taking care of them because you will miss them. Trust me, you're going to miss them. You are going to. Uh, I don't want. I don't want you to find yourself in a situation where you will feel that you could have done better if they have been alive. But now, if you still have them around, this is the greatest opportunity for you, for us to take care of our aged ones and make them feel belong. I don't think there's anything I want to say much than what has been said. But I'm going to
Thank you.
talk from a pastoral angle, just chip this in from a pastoral angle. Dr. Tokwe, please allow me. When the brother, I've forgotten his name, was talking about compassion, as a pastor, most of the time, as a young pastor, when I was growing up in the faith, in ministry, I used to have pains. And sometimes when I'm preparing for service or preparing for a healing meeting, I used to have certain pains. And I think that I used to take them personal about that it is my health problem. And so one day I was praying that, why am I having these pains when I'm preparing for service? And the Holy Spirit opened my eyes that I'm trying to build your compassionate, emotion, so that whenever you have a pain, a sudden pain in certain part of your body, it is my way of speaking to you that somebody is in the congregation that is going through such a thing. And as we mention it, uh, and pray for that person, and you will see what will happen. So one day I just tried it. I got to the pulpit. I was having nail pain, sudden a nail pain, a pain in my nail, my left nail, and suddenly I just said, "Somebody's here." The Lord said, "You have pain in your nail left," and the Lord said, "Is healing you right now." And then immediately the pain I felt there left, and the person came out to testify. What am I trying to say in summary is that God, God, especially when you are into healing ministry, God will use your body to minister to you, to develop, to generate compassion for the sick and to be able to minister to them. That is, whatever you are going through, somebody is going through it. Sometimes God will want to use your body pain to minister to that person. Thank you very much. God bless
Thank
you.
you. Thank you, sir. Sister T, are you there? Please unmute yourself. 2 minutes only. Thank you.
Okay, thank you
Yes,
so
good
much.
morning.
Good evening, sirs and ma'am.
Good.
Thank you. This has been a very enlightening and rich session. So I'm just going to quickly rush. So all the speakers have said, I'm the last in my family, and I have a really huge gap between myself and my siblings. And I took care of my grandmother as a teenager into uni, and then my mom. I call it reverse parenting. That's what I deduced from all what I was doing because I felt it was now time to take care of my parents, just as I needed them when I was much younger. They had me really late. My mom was in her 40s when she had me then, which was late by that standard. So I gave up 10 years of my career, not because of that, but I just found it that it happened that way. So I had a business I was running and I was able to take care of her. Fortunately, all of us 4 of us were all in Nigeria, so it was easy. So I just want to say a few things for people. So for people that are in diaspora, we always feel that it's all about money, because I have a lot of friends that will call me and all that. But it's not just about money. It's about, being there. Like I think Mr. Toba said, being there, providing the adequate and right amenities for our parents. Then I remember the doctor told me I used to take her vitals every morning before going out. I'll take her blood sugar. I'll take her, what's the other one? BP.
Blood
So there was
pressure.
a log. Yes, thank you. So there was a log if there was ever anything. And then also that alertness is very, very important. In fact, at a point, I'm not a medical person, but I knew everything. I knew all the drugs. When I'm talking to the doctors, they'll be like, I could have proper conversations with them because I would go and read up and say, oh, she's taking this amlodipine, this. I can't remember anymore because she passed on, in 2023. But did she have a good life? She lived a very good life. Okay, for people that are in diaspora, you need to have something like a CCTV, something to monitor. One of my older sister's friends, she had it from US. She'll be telling the lady, Mama is sleeping on that. You go and turn her, go and do this so that you can see. You'll be amazed what they do to these people. Even I that, I was going and coming, sometimes I would see the carer is there and she wouldn't want to talk. I said, Mommy, what happened? She said, no, ma worry, ma worry. I said, so I'll know that maybe she had shouted at her on something. You just need to monitor what they are doing. The other thing is that if they're on medication, you need to know all the side effects, of what they're asking you, and never be scared to ask for a second opinion. There was a time we're taking her in and out of this really expensive hospital, and we were not getting any cure. And then somebody now said, why don't you try Lasut? I said, Lasut, God forbid. Not knowing that Lasut is the best because all the consultants are there. And it was Lasut we finally went to. And she had what? COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. That's what she had. Meanwhile, they were treating her in the expensive hospital for bronchitis and this and that. Then some of them, their meals, you also need to find out because they're now living sedentary lives, constipation comes in, so you need to know what they want. My mom, she went the other way, all the normal food. She just turned to Oyibo foods and we spent and spent, but we're happy we were able to spend, so she was taking her. Then exercising is very key, as they've already said, because their muscles are going. And then also reading. My mom loved reading newspapers. And then after a while, we just thought, Mommy, all this newspaper. But that was the greatest mistake we made. Because not too long after that, she just woke up one morning. We're like, what's going on? What's going on? And then by the time we went, she had infracture. That's what they called it. They say infracture is the cousin of or relation to dementia. Anyway, that was the year she passed on. So she had that infracture around January. She passed on December. And then the last thing I want to say is that please let's respect their wishes. So there's a compromise to be. My mom, she refused because the time she had like a stroke, but she recovered. God healed her, and she got all her functions back. But she was a bit sluggish in walking. She refused to use that walking aid. She refused. So what we'll do, we'll support her. She agreed to use some other things, but for that walking, nothing would make her. So we'd support her on the left and right, and that made her happy. And then they like going out. Like someone also, I can't remember who said, locking them up, it does something to them, especially as they've been very, very independent. My mom was very independent, successful trader. So, they like going out, they like, just to say, I want to go out. You can't lock me up in the house. I want to go out. So let's try and do all that. So I pray that, people that are still have their parents, I wish you luck. And I feel jealous sometimes when I, go out and I'm seeing people, I'm like, oh my God, my mom. And I'm quick to say, oh, can I help you? Because I know that's what my mom, because of that experience, that compassion. And they're like, oh, how did you know? And I'll just smile, So, but I'm happy. Would I do it again? Would I give 10 years of my career again? Yes, I would. And, God is awesome because when I came back to work, the position I got was where my mates were. I came back as a senior manager and I was like, I hadn't even lost all that, time. So that's all. Thank you so much for the audience. I know I've passed 2 minutes. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Yes, you have. But thank you so much for sharing. You didn't add that your mom passed in her 90s.
Oh,
And
yeah, she was
thank
nice.
you.
Yeah, she was 91, 3/4. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing with us. God bless you. and it's God restores time. We thank God for that. Before we go forward, I'll just give Mommy Christy Marcelli 1 minute to speak to us. But before she
Tina had
speaks,
yeah.
please, Ma?
I was just saying that Tina Ogundimu had a hand up for a long time before that case spoke.
Yes,
Just wanted to
I'm
let
going
you know.
to I'm going to call her. Thank you for reminding me because she put her hand down. So
Thank you,
Mommy Christy Marcelli has written a book about helping your aging parents live with joy, dignity, and peace. And she's talked about this in her book, about other mistakes adult children make, even though they love their parents dearly, and how to avoid them. And she's the mother of my good friend, Dr. Amanda Adigwe. Are you still there, Mommy
Yes,
Christy?
yes, I
Okay,
am.
ma. 1 minute for you, ma.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. I'm calling
Good evening,
from
ma.
Lagos.
Yes.
So blessed to listen to the experts. I'm also thrilled because the points they made are all corroborated in my new book. There's something that about identity shift that an elder person experiences, a power shift. When the first speaker, the engineer was speaking, I'm sorry, Akin-Taylor was speaking,
Yes.
she said something about her mother being a very strong person, that she was surprised that here was she needing help, being helpless and needy, and she could not easily relate with that. That is something I want to tell everyone here that the elderly person can very well experience. We shouldn't be too surprised because naturally her body weakens. She's helpless. The aging parent is helpless with age, and that affects her psyche, her mental health, and also her body. Because of that, she loses confidence, and she needs reassurance and support. So the person who could take charge has now suffered, a shift. Somebody else, she's now being taken care of. That's a power exchange. She also, personality-wise too, she's no longer confident. She's no longer that go get it. She can't do it. So those things make them cranky. Yes, if we don't respond with understanding, they will seem troublesome. So what
Thank you.
the elder,
Thank you so much.
yes.
I'm so sorry, ma.
Thank you.
We
It's
are
all right.
almost out of time. Thank you so much, ma. I'll tell them
Thank
to
you
go
for
and
the
find your
opportunity.
book. Yes, ma. Thank you so much, ma. Let me call Mommy Tina Ogundimu, who had her hand up, and then followed by Mr. K. Faj, and followed by Dr. Olushola Ephraim Oluwanuga.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Dr. Sukomi, could you kindly help me highlight our speakers? Because either of the three of them might be taking the questions.
So thank you so much for allowing me to speak. So I'm in the United States and I'm 63 years old. I'm an only child and my mom has lived with me for the past 31 years. Actually, if I say her going back and forth, it's over 40 years that she's technically lived with me. But it's very difficult because I'm a sandwich generation, meaning I'm also taking care of my kids, and now I have grandkids. It's quite difficult taking care of her because she's 89 years old. And I thank God she's self-sufficient. What do I mean by that? Meaning she does crossword puzzles, she watches TV, she reads the newspaper, she knits so that she doesn't have arthritis in her hand. She does crossword puzzle to keep her brain active. So if you see her, you won't even think she's 89. Why did I bring this to this forum? Is that a lot of people think, yeah, and again, like you rightly said, it's not all about money, but there are some people like me, and I'm not really saying I'm struggling, But it is a struggle to take care of being an only child, taking care of an elderly mom, and seeing my kids, they're not doing the same thing for me. And I'm 63. And it's like, hold on a second here. Why isn't there a reciprocity in this situation? So I really I appreciate the fact that Sister Jumoke introduced me to this forum, and I hope everybody got something out of the forum. My advice to people is, yes, you need to take care of your elderly parent, but you also need to take care of yourself. You need to be healthy also, because if you're not healthy, it's difficult to take care of an elderly parent, because they really take this energy out of you. And I'm not saying this in a negative way, so please don't take it that I'm being fictitious, but I'm just being real with everyone on the phone. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma, for sharing. I think you've touched on a point. I can see it's mainly like a comment, but you've touched on a few points, and one of them is carer fatigue. One of them is how the younger generation sometimes relates with their own parents. I think I will let Auntie Jumoke take carer fatigue. I want to talk a bit about how the younger generation relates with their parents, because I am part of that younger generation. I must say that it had been drummed into me from an early age, almost through the years. I will say it in Yoruba, then I will translate. My father would say, "Tí òkété bá dàgbà, ọmú ẹ̀ ló mú." That when the grass cutter is old, is the breast of his children that is soft. Now, I know the jury will be divided about that, because some parents believe I'm independent, I can take care of myself, I will pay for my funeral. In fact, in the UK, they will encourage you, pay for your funeral, pay for this, do that. But in Africa, where we come from, we believe we should take care of our elder ones. In scripture that a lot of us believe, it is told straight that this is a commandment, that you should honor your parents so that you will live long on earth. So it's something that is already ingrained that you should do for your parents. Now, the dilemma sometimes, I'm not saying in all situations, is that some of these children have never been taught. They've never been taught, they've never been shown that this is the right thing to do. And so if they've never been taught, then we cannot blame them for behaving like they don't know what to do. So my advice, I'm not trying to give you advice, because I cannot talk about your peculiar situation. And I think you have done an amazing job if your mom has lived with you for 30 years, as in sometimes being in the same house with your parents for any significant amount of time. After a while, you start rubbing each other the wrong way, and you just want to go to your own space and just be by yourself, as much as you love them. So I can imagine that there would have been some ups and downs. But I would encourage everybody, especially if you're part of the older age group and you might not have had this conversation with your children or your grandchildren, I would encourage you to share this video when it's uploaded and have a conversation about it after they have watched it, about what they think about it. And even though we think that in the UK, parents don't, it was a clinical setting, and I saw this woman that came in, tiny woman, came in with 3 full-grown, heftily built men, and they were all over her. And I could only imagine that this woman had drummed it into them that they needed to take care of their mother, because they were definitely attentive. They were everywhere. They wanted the best for every pain she felt, they felt it, and they were boys, all of them. So I was very touched that, okay, so it's not just an African thing, but yes. So that's my comment about it. Over to you, Auntie Jumoke.
So if I may just say something, and thank you, Tina, for bringing it up. I think for me, let me speak for myself. that feeling obligated to take care of your parents can also cause resentment. It can cause resentment because I was raising children. It's like, what about me? I raised children. Now the kids, it's time for me to at least start living my life a little bit. Now I have to raise my mom. Who's caring for me? And that obligation, I think, is very unfair because they don't think about you as a person. You're supposed to sacrifice your life. You're supposed to do this. That's where Tina is coming from. I didn't teach my children that you have to take care of me. They see it. It's not a thought thing. And I think it's unfair to put that burden on children that you have to take care of your parents. The Bible says, honor your parents. You honor them. But do you take full responsibility for them without being resentful? I was resentful, and it took God to really help me with that resentment. And I felt I had to pay back for her taking care of me. It was almost like a payback, which is not a good place to go to care for. But until I came from that place of love, not obligation, I came from that sense of caring and empathy, love. That was the key word. Because when I went to God to say, God, help me with this one, take away this resentment of this is my life. And then I started doing it as a service to God, not because I was obligated to taking care of my mother. That I think is very important because it can cause resentment. And I do the same thing with my children, that we have a responsibility to each other out of love, but what you can do. And, I would just say something that when you start drumming it into the children, I don't think it's fair because they too have their own lives, right? And then you have siblings that don't feel that obligation. So it falls on you. Tina is an only child. There's nowhere for her to go. But if you also have siblings that just say, okay, it's your responsibility. You are the eldest one. Sister from a distance. It causes resentment. And that's something that we need to be honest with. Our culture does not address those things. You are the eldest child, it's your responsibility. What about me? Does anybody even ask how I'm doing, how I'm feeling at 62? What are your own issues? Do you have? No, but me. So even sometimes when they call me, like they say, mommy needs to so and so, I say, don't call me. You people should just leave me alone. Call somebody else, call this person, call that person. But for now, I will still go back and do it. But why does it automatically default? So we need to address those. And then we also have to address something that a lot of us don't talk about with our parents. Africa never deals with trauma and healing. These people went through their own trauma, they went through their own challenges that was never dealt with. So all that becomes a part of who they become, whether it is regret, whether it's guilt or something. We as children, that alertness is important because you also have to deal with it. Because I had to also be talking. My daughter actually told me something. That was when I know that we project trauma on children. She goes, Mom, please do not project your trauma on me. And I realized that my mom had projected some of her trauma on me. So we had to have a conversation about it. So that was an awakening. And then, to sit with my mom that your lived experience may not have been fair. You've gone through challenges. You've gone through all this. How do you start to heal? We also need to talk about those things and be honest and transparent, because when we are carrying with resentment, it's very difficult. But we need to also own it and acknowledge it, that there is a level of resentment in this because you are sacrificing yourself. And it's like, you have to do it. No, I don't have to. I have a choice. I am choosing to do it. Because I love you and I want to do it. So don't make it that I have to do it. Your other children, those other people don't have to do it. If they don't choose to do it, who's going to put them in prison or who's going to hold them accountable? So that's just the caution that I have, especially for those of us that our children are now in their 30s, they are living their own lives. It's that we also have to prepare ourselves as Dr. Laolu-Adewale said, to make sure that we also age without healthy challenge. So, preparing ourselves for that for the sake of our children, because life has changed from where we are now to where they will also be. So we have to be thinking of those things as well. So that's what I just wanted to add to your comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Ma. Thank you, Ma. You know, I said the jury is out, so we might not even agree, but there's always a way to have a healthy balance about these things. So as I said, it's good to prepare, it's good to be prepared, but it's also good for them to know what honoring your parents look like from a young age. And it's something that they should be know, especially if they are people of the faith, like some of us are. It will be really, really good. I help my parents, and I'm never resentful about it. I am actually always delighted about it, because I know it is such a privilege that they are alive and I am in a position to be able to take care of them. So it gives me a lot of joy, but I definitely understand that there must be a balance. I also take care of myself. I enjoy myself. I spend on myself. So yes, there has to be a balance. You must not sacrifice yourself on the altar. And some carers sacrifice so much that they go before the people that they are caring for. So there definitely has to be that balance. Okay, I'll take questions now. Mr. Kefaj, 1 minute. And thank you everyone for staying around for this time. Sorry we're running late. The technology didn't really start early. You're muted, Mr. Bajimi.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, it's my pleasure to be in this meeting. I'm just wondering, and this goes to Mrs. Gbeminiyi, because she's an expert on this field. Like you mentioned, activities, and what are the reasonable activities we can introduce to the aging people? That's number one. Number two, I have a sister who is over 80 now. She's always agitated, and she wants to control everybody. Me, I knew that maybe it's because of aging. But what can we do to help her? Or what can we also do to deflate her mind when it's being agitated or when it's being furious, to help her? Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you for the question. So when I say activities, I am speaking to anything that attends to the mental, physical, social, emotional, and psychological well-being. So I had mentioned earlier that book reading is one, but we need to also understand the person we're referencing. So person-centered care has to be at the back of our mind. So if the person we're talking about used to be a teacher and she enjoyed reading, she enjoyed going out, from her historical record, we should keep up with all of those things that the person loves. It doesn't, however, mean that they cannot learn new things. Like in my own organization, we ensure that we keep up with what they love, but we also introduce new things to them, because learning truly never stops. And if you look at the SDG goal, I think goal number 3, it says learning across the life course, learning for all ages, so they can learn. At our center, you have 90-year-olds who are just learning how to play the piano, learning to play the recorder, learning crafts, learning how to make shampoo, dishwash, clay, so many things. Some of these things are things that some of them have even learned in primary school, but it was just in passing. So now they're actually coming into it, and we have people who would say, oh, I really love this thing, and I'm going to go and make more at home, and I'll make sure that my children, my grandchildren buy from me. That's giving them a sense of purpose, something to do, something to look forward to. So you can pick from any of these things. And the way the Nigerian society is evolving now, we're seeing more people coming up with wellness packages. I think we've come to the point where we realize that wellness is super important, because what it does is it prevents. It's a preventative kind of solution as opposed to waiting till we have health issues or we have a stroke or we have this. Just going into the park, taking a walk at the park. A lot of people have embraced that now. People take walks in the evening, take walks in the morning. That's activity. Having a community where you just go and have a conversation. I know in Lagos Island, there's something I discovered they have in Lagos Island. Ijoko Agba. That's just seniors coming together to gist, or sometimes to play Ludo, to play draft. That's activity. That's challenging their minds. It's making their hands move, their feet are moving, and it's just impacting their overall well-being. So any of those things can form as activity, and then they can do simple ones like going to church as well, being a member of a committee in church and going to church 3 days a week. That's also activity. Going to the mosque every day to pray. That's also activity. Most important thing, you must attend to their mental, social, physical, emotional, and psychological well-being. So that's that. Now to the second point around your sister being agitated. It's difficult to say what the problem could be just from that description, but one of the symptoms of cognitive impairment could be agitation. So with aging, sometimes comes different kinds of things. So the individual could be agitated for so many reasons. Someone could be depressed and agitated. Someone could be dealing with a transition. So she may be transitioning from independence to dependence. And it would really cause a lot of agitation because there's denial. This is not me. This is not who I used to be. How did I become this? Why is this happening to me? That could lead to agitation. Then at the onset of dementia, agitation is a very common thing, especially at particular times of the day. It's called sundowning. For some people, it happens in the afternoons. When it's afternoon, heaven just starts to fall. For some, they get physical. They can even beat their caregiver, beat their children. So there are different levels. In my experience, some of the things that helps is music. So if an individual, maybe whilst growing up, this person loves Sunny Ade, please let the person have Sunny Ade playing in the background for a good period of time during the day, especially those periods. If you have noticed a pattern, maybe from 12 in the afternoon is when she starts to get worked up, just play that Sunny Ade. If there's someone around there with her, let the person sing along with her, dance with her. Music helps to calm down agitation. Another thing could be reminiscence therapy. We call it reminiscence therapy. So things they used to love when they were younger. Sometimes it's a photo album. If the person has a lot of pictures of the past, for instance, maybe this person used to be a school principal and she has a lot of photos of different sets that graduated from her school, the things that made her very proud. Please bring out those photo albums. Prior to those times when she gets agitated, just go through them with her. That sense of pride that she would feel going through the pictures would definitely calm her down. So I think those are two things I can leave with you that you can work with. But ultimately, please have her get checked at the hospital. Let her see a geriatrician. And if there's need for her to see a neurologist, because some of these things are kind of related to cognition, and let them just have a series of tests done and figure out what exactly is the cause of the agitation. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm grateful for that.
Thank you very much. Of course, the other thing that was not mentioned is if that is behavioral, is that how the person has always been, or is it a new change? Well, of course, those will be explored by whichever clinicians you end up seeing. Dr. Olushola Oluwanuga, over to you, ma. 1 minute. Yeah, muted, ma. Okay, ma.
Yeah, thank you. It's been wonderful, and I thank all the speakers. Full disclosure, I'm a psychiatrist and I see the elderly. I've just wanted to add a few things, and the one I want to emphasize is autonomy. Autonomy for the elderly is very important for their mental well-being. See, it's not how long, it's how well. You don't want somebody to die at 103, but they've been miserable for the past 10 years of their lives and just begging to die every day. Let them be happy until they breathe their last as much as possible. And one of the keys to achieving that is autonomy. They want to do something, discuss it with them, give allowance and see how you can accommodate their activity as much as possible. It doesn't always have to be you as an individual doing these things. You can take them to professionals like Dr. Gbeminiyi Center. You can take them there where they can take part in these activities. You can hire people who can look after them, well-vetted people. So I can't emphasize autonomy, no, but I only have a minute. So therefore, the other one I just want to comment about is when they are agitated, agitated to the point of kicking, biting, scratching, please get them medical help, because sometimes just a little medication can calm them down. You don't have to endure that. If that is happening, then something is wrong and they need help. Finally, that matter of sundowning. The elderly, sometimes they can be ill and you may not know. They don't have fever. They may not have high fever the way that younger people would have high fever. But they could have even urinary tract infections. They're prone to that. And they could easily develop what you call delirium, something that affects their behavior. If you notice that they're becoming too confused in the evening, it may be the earliest sign of delirium, which is actually life-threatening. So again, this is an indication for making sure that they get medical help. Thank you for the 1 minute, which I overused.
Thank you, Auntie. Just to mention that someone is actually going to speak about delirium and dementia, a neurologist, as part of the series. And someone is also going to talk about safeguarding, which I think Mrs. Gbeminiyi mentioned earlier in her talk. So on this note, I want to thank all of you for joining the Zoom, for taking time to invite others. Big thank you to our speakers. Let's show them some love. Clap for them, please. They've been amazing. Thank you so much for waiting till the end of the session. Engineer Jumoke, Akin-Taylor, Mrs. Gbeminiyi, Laolu-Adewale, Mr. Toba Ojo, thank you so much. We really appreciate this. And I'm sure so many more people are going to benefit from listening to it on the YouTube channel. Thank you for being very vulnerable and sharing your stories. Big thank you to everyone who has contributed, and big thank you to everyone here for being an amazing audience. God bless you. Next week, we are going to be talking about common ailments in the elderly. So it's just going to be a discussion about different ailments, short discussion about the ailments, the management, and we'll just have a discussion about that. It's going to be a great series. Join us. We still have another 10 weeks. Thank you so much. God bless you.
God bless you. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good
God
evening.
bless you.
Good afternoon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, all our speakers.
Thank you all.
Thank
God bless you all.
you for having
Thank
me.
you
Thank you,
very much.
Adejumoke. Thank you,
God bless
Toba.
you.
Thank you. Not to the girls.
God bless you all.
Thank you. Ajibade, thank you for joining us. Auntie Angela, thank you. Mommy Ayedu, thank you. Mr. K-Faj, thank you. Sister
Thank you,
Nike,
ma.
thank you. Dr. Ayobade, thank you. Dr. Okoro, thank you. Professor Omisojo, thank you. Auntie Shola, thank you. Uncle Samuel, thank you. Dr. Sukomi Andari, thank you. Dr. Alalade, thank you so much. Mr. Oshokpale, thank you.
Thank you.
Brother Tunji, thank you. Mr. Oluwatsuyi, thank you. Mr. Adebusola, thank you. Mr. Toba Ayedu, thank you.
Toby Soko. Toba.
God bless you all. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.